So my Levi's were off-white canvas and they began to yellow. I only wore them once and I decided to give them some color, and it is still wet, but I like the way it turned out. I used some metallic blue, some metallic purple, some pink. Pink wasn't metallic, the pink was glossy. And I used a little bit of yellow. And when they dry, I will put some protectant on them, of course. But I can tell you, this camera does not do them justice. They are noise. At least I like them. I didn't have any color scheme or anything put together. I just kind of went with it and tried to get them to look as similar as I could. I've decided to ignore anything that I see other than cleaning up the soles of them. And on the soles, it's great to use Vaseline, not tape, but Vaseline, to protect the soles. I try not to paint much of the insides. You don't want your socks getting stained. But yeah, Vaseline will keep the paint from getting on the soles. And before I painted them, I cleaned them. I used some borax. I used some coconut oil soap that I make, and I went ahead and cleaned them to strip any protective coverings on them that comes with the factory version of the shoes. And I used a toothbrush and got those clean pretty good, let them dry, and then I got the tail and blended my paints. And of course, these are canvas shoes, and the shoestrings are white. I'm leaving them white. I just washed them. So now I can wear my shoes again. The soles were already this color, so I kind of played off that color a little bit. I had metallic purple and metallic blue, but I did want pink to be like the main focus because I'm kind of digging pink right now. And I'll probably stitch this probably by hand rather than trying to put it at a sewing machine, just to keep it from further unraveling. I probably should have did that first, but it probably happened for me scrubbing, because I did attempt to get the yellowing out first. I mean, they were a cute little off-white, and I hadn't initially intended on painting them, although I kind of thought about it. I also thought about, putting some patches and some glitter on it, some jewels, but nah. So I tried methods that I saw online for getting out the yellowing, and none of that worked. Nope, none of that worked, and I tried quite a few things. So I decided to go ahead and paint them. And I like the way they turned out. And when you think you could do a better job, you're just gonna keep going and keep going and keep going. So I'm leaving it here. I hope. I hope. But, I can always, do something different if I choose. But gonna leave them there. So yeah, Vaseline instead of tape will keep the paint off the soles. I dyed them originally, and then I painted them. And you can look up whatever type of paint or dye that you want or should use with canvas material. Yeah, turned out pretty good. And yeah, I got some big feet. So I always have big feet. So what else? Yeah, protective spray. You know, I'm gonna use waterproof. I didn't have Vaseline, but I used Vicks. So if you don't have Vaseline, which is pretty cheap, but hey, if you have some Vicks, use that. Unless you don't want to waste your Vicks, I don't know. But I think they are cute. I like them. I like them. I kinda wished I had a kind of hit it with a little more of the yellow. It kind of gives that goldish look, but you know, it kind of blends in with the soles a little bit. And maybe focused on the blue more. And quite actually, this is the metallic blue on top here on the tongue. It's pink at the base. I originally dyed the entire shoe the pink color, and then I just went from there, adding the metallics on top. But yeah, that would be the blue. I didn't want to get the tag originally, but one slip made me go in. So there's that. I know some people like to leave their tags as is, and that's kind of what I was going for. And it was white, of course, so I think it would have went well with the white soles. But hey, I still got the laces. They're white. And you know how that go. Once you slip, then there's that. And you know, after I dyed them, I mean, you should use gloves, of course, but hey, I didn't. I didn't. I'm pretty bad for that. So there's my nails. And let's see what else. Yeah, I didn't want to hold on to the petroleum on my finger, so I took that off and I painted it raw, if you will, because there was no protectant on the soles. So if you wipe it soon enough, then you have a good chance of getting, depending on what type of paint you have and you know how your soles are, you have a good enough chance of getting the paint off. I could have got more off, but my nails are super thin, so I would like to grow them out instead of continuously breaking them. I am a creator and a crafter, so I'm always being hard on them, so I just let it be. I think at some point I'll probably get something and try to take it off, but I don't want to also damage the soles. I don't think it's that bad. It's just places like right here where you can see where there's you know, a little bit of spill over there. And I believe that's a dot of paint right there on the Levi. So I'll probably deal with that. And I could have blended better, but you know, other than that, once I get that protective coating on it and this here dries, I think I'm gonna be pretty happy with it. I'm already happy with it. And another piece of advice is, of course, you're gonna follow the packaging on, you know, whatever dye you get, probably some just clothing dye, like t-shirt dye. I won't get into what kind of paints I use because you can choose your own paints. And I didn't use paints specifically for shoes, but this is canvas material. And you sometimes paint, if you're an artist, on a canvas board. So the possibilities are just wild as far as what kind of paint you can use. And I have some pretty paints. I used a sponge. Let's see, I have one here, but I went ahead and put it away. But I have these small little sponges. They're natural and they have different patterns to them, but I didn't use them for the pattern. Of course, I used brushes, but I used the sponge originally to apply my paints. I wanted to make sure it got all the way through, through the material, because if you don't get your well, dye, I'm sorry, dye, because I dyed it first. But if you don't get the dye all the way through the material, then when it dries, you'll end up with white spots. And when I cleaned the shoes originally, I cleaned the entire shoe. I washed the shoe. But when I began to dye and paint it, I didn't want to get the dye or the paint down. You see, I got the edges, because you know sometimes your edges are visible, your trim is visible. So I got a little bit of the inside of the trim, but I did not soak the whole shoe in the dye or dip the entire shoe in the dye. I used a sponge to apply the dye, and I just kind of got any edges that didn't get with the brushes, you know, different size brushes. And that way I kept from dyeing the inside of my shoe, which could lead to you messing up your socks. Now, if you wear black socks all the time, do your thing. But if you wear any other color, then you might get dye on your socks. So I used a sponge with that, and when I got to the painting part of it, I used paintbrushes. And I did mostly sideways strokes. You should be able to see that. Now, during some edge parts, connecting parts, I may have had to go in another direction initially, but quickly going sideways. The path of your stroke definitely affects your design. And you can look at this and tell that I mainly use sideways strokes. Now, if I would have went sideways, then up and down, and okay, this is a perfect example. Now, here on the back, on this little strip here on the back, this is definitely a different material than canvas. But if I can get it to focus, there we go. You can see that I went up and down, and then I came back over it with sideways strokes. Now, I could have done more sideways strokes to correct that, but I decided to leave it like it is, because ocularly, I like how that, like what it does for the visual. I mean, this is a vertical strip anyway, so the grooves go horizontal, but the strip itself is vertical. So I think the underlying vertical stripe visually works, if that makes any sense. To me, it does. And that's the only person it matters to. It matters to you. So, of course, you know the possibilities are endless as far as what you can do. The yellow that I used was not metallic, so I did a couple of layers on all the paints, and I applied just some light strokes of yellow after the first layer of paint, and then I came through and blended the yellow in with the metallics. So although it is yellow, it kind of gives a goldish type flare and almost a little bit of highlight. Although I did consider using a little bit of either white or off-white to do some blending. The jury's still out on that. I think that that will work out good because of the soles being white, and those are called highlights. That's called highlighting. So if I decide to add those white highlights, I'll come back and show you. It won't necessarily be visible as far as you can be like, oh, I see you added white. No, it'll give it more highlight. And if I do, I doubt I'll be filming it, so I'm gonna go ahead and tell you. I'm pretty bad for not filming what I'm doing as I'm doing it, but I'm gonna show more stuff and also get more action. So I gotta set up my lighting and cameras and stuff when I do my next project. But what I would do is put some white, some very light white highlights and blend it in where there's clear, like clear yellow. Like say right here there's clear yellow, right here there's clear yellow, and just a, you know, I will do just a little bit in certain spots along here. I'll come up here and highlight just a little bit, and bringing more of the white highlights not towards the back because I want that to be like a little darker as it is, but I'll come and stay like where the main yellow highlights are, and I do think that that would set it off even more, and that's mainly because of the sole being white. So I'll come back and show you guys that, and you can see what I'm talking about. And if you're an artist or a graphic designer, you already know what I'm talking about. You already probably sitting there like, yeah, you should probably put some white highlights in there. And it would have been better to do it all at the same time, but I opted out on that at the time. But now that I'm looking at it, I can see where it would likely benefit from that white highlight. It'll come together a little bit more. So now that you got a good look at that one, my goal was to make them pretty much identical. Not overly intentionally, but just on a basic level to make them kind of identical. You see? So let's look at the other one. And I really wish I hadn't got the tag because I kind of find that tacky. But I didn't want to color in, like cover up the words completely, so I just gave it a little light brush because I had hit it like down at the bottom somewhere and got the blue purple mixture on it. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna have to do both of them. But it was a good nice white, and that would have been great. That would have been great. Yeah, so here's the second one. These yellow highlights here are definitely standing out, and this was from an accident. Very light with the yellow. I should have been, but I had too much yellow on my paint, and therefore I just, being lazy, didn't want to get another brush, didn't want to, because I didn't really have anything ready and I needed to move quickly, so I just went ahead and blended it in. So in this part, it definitely is not more of an exact match or a close match because you got way more yellow here. But I do like the way it looks still with all that yellow. I like them both, so I won't go back over that one again. I promised myself, sometimes with painting, you just can't stop, won't stop. No diddy. But actually, yeah, I did it because that's where I got that from. But this extra yellow here, because once I messed up the other side, I had to go ahead and do this side. But I won't call it a mess up because honestly, it blends in better with the, you know, blocks of yellow that are on the sole. And of course, I need to clean the soles, you know, clean them up. But what do you guys think? Let me know. In fact, let me know if you think that I should probably go ahead and give the other shoe more yellow to catch up. And there's a, you know, mistake I got there, right there. A little purple dot. I decided to just go ahead and leave it because I didn't catch it in time and it started to dry already. But the more yellow does seem to go well with the yellow in the soles, guys. I don't know. Let's put the other one up here. See? But I like this though. Although I think the yellow does, that more yellow makes it stand out a bit better. I like this with the hints. I like that. I mean, it stands out good enough. This stands out way more, which is absolutely better. But I like this blend. So here's the less yellow. Wow. And here is the one with the more yellow in it. I can almost hear you saying yes. Add more yellow to the other. And another reason why I don't really want to mess with it adding more yellow is because, you know, it is it's not dry, but it's at a, because I literally just finished it, but it's at a drying point to where it wouldn't blend the way I want it to blend, and then I'll have to be adding more of the other colors, and I don't want to do too much. I don't want to do too much. So, but the difference is clear when I'm trying to be identical. See, that it just gets like that painting that I hardly ever mess around with painting, because I just feel like it's hard to ever be finished, because you're always looking at it like, yeah, you know, I could do this, I could do that, and it's really never over until you put that coating on there. Because I mean, to come back from that, ooh, what are you risking here? But I am adding the white, so we will see. We will see. Guys, give me a thumbs up, share, leave your comments, tell me what you think. Do you like the blend? Again, I didn't show the original shoe. It was already yellow at that point. You don't want to see that. You know what a yellowing shoe looks like. And I purchased these last year around June, and I wore them literally one time, and I did not have them in any kind of protection bag or anything, and so they set out and they yellowed, and the when I washed them, that just made it worse. So sometimes it's good that these things happen. Yeah, because then you can just go ahead and do your own thing, as I have. So let me hit these highlights real quick before it dries too much, and I'll be back. Like, share, subscribe, comment, and thank you.